Did you know that changing who you are requires zero action? Yes, that's right. No need to face your fears. Don't worry about your workout routine. Forget the morning ritual. Nobody wants to hear about it. No action of any kind, which strikes people as ludicrous. At some point, you need to get off the couch and do something, goes the refrain. But when you look at psychological change for what it is and therapy for what it does, when it's done properly, you don't need to force yourself to take any kind of action whatsoever. Now, yes, at some point you will need to do what would technically be classified as moving. Namely, you need to talk and write. Talking usually involves you move your body somewhere where you can talk to somebody, like a therapist's office, but no homework assignments or any actionable advice. Proper change and therapy is when you remove the internal conflict that prevents you from taking the action that you want to take, even when you don't know what that is yet. There is one exception to this where I would give advice, but we'll get to that later. You don't need to force yourself to take action as if you, a human, isn't already built for action. Every kid is busy. They have stuff going on. Their turtle they want to tell you about, their model rocket, karate class, video games, sure, but they're kids, so it's fine. The point is that your natural state is movement, action, engagement. The reason you're not moving is because of psychological conflicts. When you untangle those conflicts, you get back to your natural state. Let's say you want to start a business and you've been procrastinating on it for years. Whenever you sit down to work on it, you get tired, distracted, and foggy. That's what the emotional conflict feels like to you. Now, sure, you can force yourself to sit down and just grind it out. Probably doesn't need to be such a struggle, but if that works for you and it does consistently, then there's not much of a psychological issue there. Not everybody needs therapy. Or you could just drug yourself up, take enough weed and Adderall until you become a god. But after some directed conversation, discussion about your life experiences, thoughts, feelings, talking about those things in a certain way, you begin to realize you have resentment. A lot of it for society. And part of what keeps you from working, in fact, is your discouragement. You're making a 5-year business plan while you're not even sure whether we're going to be a country in 5 years. So you take responsibility for whatever part in the resentments you have. Usually involves creating a better relationship with the people in your life, maybe someone who you are quietly angry at all the time, maybe your boss or girlfriend. Take some of that emotional weight off your shoulders, clear up those issues, and the direction becomes more clear. Naturally, you'll be more likely to act. And maybe you decide not to start a business. I'm not saying starting a business is inherently the right thing, which is why forcing yourself or drugging yourself up can really backfire. Maybe that's just not the right move yet. The point is, a decision is made, you're the one making it, and that's when the learning begins. Forcing yourself to talk to women doesn't really work either. You know you need to do it. How else are you going to get a date? You're way too early for Tinder. I mean, who isn't? But you still barely do it, which tells us the issue has little to do with that situation, whether it's walking over to her or engaging more fully and presently in a conversation you're already having. Cognitively that's not going to hurt you, but psychologically there's other issues going on that get in the way. Your resentment for women could be one. Anxiety you have with your mom. That's a big one here. Fear of being seen. There's parts of you that you think are better kept hidden when you talk to a woman. Of course, those are more likely to come up and annoy everybody. When you do clear up those issues, you won't have to push yourself to do it anymore. You'll feel pulled to do it. Imagine that, actually being drawn toward a woman and not having it be some kind of line. People don't come to therapy because they don't know what to do. They come because they cannot get themselves to do what they know they're supposed to do, or they're vague on what they're supposed to do, which is resistance. And I would say that's the same thing. So it's always subtly demeaning when the therapist gives the client advice. That's not why he's there. That's not why therapy exists. We evolved enough intellectually, culturally to realize, hey, maybe if we just talk to these people who we have shackled up in these institutions, maybe we could help them just by doing that. Because obviously advice doesn't work. You admitted that when you shackled them up in the first place. Of course, forcing yourself to do something is even worse if it's not your own idea, when there's somebody else persuading you to do it, especially if it's a therapist. You know, Ayn Rand has this great line about how forcing a man to do the right thing is equivalent to giving him an art gallery at the price of gouging out his eyes. And I know we're not talking about force in a literal sense, but it still applies. The point is, you need to see what you're doing. Without that, you cannot become self-sufficient, which, as a being who has the capacity to think, to live beyond perception, is what you really want and need. I mean, there's something psychologically important that happens when you make a decision based on what you genuinely think and feel. It builds that inner trust, that development of a better, healthier relationship with yourself. That's a psychic chain of events that really cannot be interrupted. And people will give therapists access to that internal structure. So when they don't know exactly what they're talking about or giving advice, they can really do a lot of damage. You're much better off making your own decision, even if it's the wrong one, and then learning from it. Therapists will give two kinds of advice. The first one is general advice: sleep well, eat well, exercise, which is fine, I guess. But can you at least imagine how someone can get bummed out when they come to you, someone who has years of specialized mental health training, say something they could read on a mindset bro's Twitter, like lift weights and sleep well. Wow, thanks for that. I mean, hopefully you as a therapist would be allergic to giving advice. That's for another video though. Now, of course, I think it's a great idea to work out and eat well. That can really help take the edge off when you're managing your issues. But what I think is totally besides the point. It's about what you think of it. Then there's specific advice like get this job, break up with this girl, cut off your mom, and which is way worse. At best, this kind of advice is meaningless. Most of the time, it's counterproductive. I mean, the worst case scenario is the therapist gives you advice and the advice works. Then you get that feeling of accomplishment from something besides you. That totally defeats the purpose, which is develop your own ability to make a decision based on what you think and feel, to remove those conflicts, gunking up your emotions so they become clear. Then that which your emotions drive, the action becomes clear as well. The more clear the action becomes, the more likely you will do it. Now, to the one exception, the only time I would give advice is simply telling the client what I would do if I was in their situation. But you have to really know somebody to do that well. Even in therapy, I would only do that after several sessions, because then I know your situation, what you're going through internally, externally. I know your neurotic pattern. And also, even when I do that, I could be wrong, right? I could just not know what I'm talking about. But I would say once you get your pattern down, what drives you psychologically, what you avoid and why, the symptoms you experience as a result of this, then it's easy to see a decision, at least a decision that goes in the right direction. It may not be the most highest leverage ROI decision strategy, but at least you know it's a decision that's going to take you in the right direction. When it comes to psychological growth, you need to get to that place where all you can see is you and your issue. Are you in enough pain to let go of it? With enough capital H honesty, TM, at some point it just becomes undeniable that it's just you and your issue. I mean, this sounds like an absurd analogy, but it's totally apt. If someone truly feels the stove is hot, they don't need motivation to stop touching it. But you're connected to the pain of what you're doing. Every time you walk by that woman, every day you avoid working on your business, it's painful. It becomes more and more painful. Eventually you relent. Nobody needs discipline to stop doing something that's painful. I use the example in my book of David Hasselhoff. His daughter secretly filmed him when he was drunk. He later saw the video and stopped drinking that day. He could see what he was doing. He's eating cheeseburgers off the floor, is what he's doing. Usually it's less dramatic than that. Usually it's more like you gradually realize you're drinking to avoid one particular issue. You're avoiding that conversation, a certain relationship. And why don't I face it? Because I'm afraid. And that slowly seeps in there and the booze becomes a lot less appealing. But yeah, with drinking, you may need to force yourself to stop because it may kill you otherwise. That's why we have rehab. But for most symptoms, it's not that serious. Let's say it's porn. It sucks, but you're not going to die. And honestly, trying to force yourself to not watch porn usually doesn't help that much. If you feel like shit, you just don't care. I don't know. Then maybe watch some porn. Of course, I'm not encouraging you to watch porn. But even if I was, it wouldn't matter. The point is, you won't want to do it because it totally sucks. And as long as you're working on the issue that's causing you the pain in the first place, what you're trying to numb out with porn, as long as you're getting more clear on that, and as long as you're not going to die, then just don't try to force anything. But it all comes down to how you manage your issue. The goal of therapy isn't to force yourself into action. The goal is to become integrated enough so the right action no longer feels forced. How do you identify your feeling, the situation causing the feeling, what the feeling means about you, how you're responsible for the feeling, and of course, how you can put words to the feeling? To learn more about this process behind becoming integrated more of who you are, get my new book, The Therapy Manifesto, link in the description. If you are interested in working with me, I do free consultations. joinanimus.com/schedule. I did a similar video on why you may unconsciously want your girlfriend to manipulate you. I'll post it there for you to click on and learn how to manage your issues so you don't have to bore everybody about your morning routine.